There's something many dog owners only realize when it's already too late. Most dogs don't start hurting on the day you finally notice something is wrong. In many cases, they've already been suffering silently for weeks, sometimes even months. And the most heartbreaking part is that during all that time, they still try to act normal around you. They still run to the door when they hear your car. They still wag their tail when you call their name. They still eat, still lie beside you, still look at you with those familiar eyes. And because of that, so many people assume everything is fine, that they're just getting older, that they're just less energetic than before. But the truth is, many dogs are quietly learning how to live with pain every single day without anyone noticing. Dogs are very different from humans in one important way. When humans are in pain, we complain, speak up, and show obvious signs that something is wrong. Dogs don't. Their survival instincts were shaped tens of thousands of years ago in the wild. For stray dogs and their wolf ancestors, showing weakness meant danger. An animal that looked too injured or vulnerable could be abandoned by the pack or become an easy target for predators. And even though dogs now live safely in warm homes with humans, that instinct still exists deep inside their nervous system. So many dogs choose silence. They learn to endure. They learn to hide pain as if it were something normal. What breaks many veterinarians' hearts isn't just severe illness. It's the fact that so many owners only discover the problem after their dog has already been hurting for a very long time. Some dogs suffer from arthritis, but still force themselves to walk beside their owner every day. Some have serious dental pain, but still try to eat because they fear going hungry. Others live with spinal pain, yet still wag their tail when you come home, simply because they don't want to worry you. And if you've ever believed dogs don't feel pain the same way humans do, science actually suggests the opposite. Behavioral and neurological studies show that dogs have an extremely high pain tolerance. That doesn't mean they feel less pain. It means they're better at enduring it. That's why this video matters so much. Because sometimes what saves a dog isn't medicine right away. Sometimes it's simply an owner who's observant enough to notice the smallest changes. A different sleeping position, a slower expression in the eyes, a moment of hesitation before jumping onto the couch, a longer paw licking session than usual. Things that seem tiny may actually be the only way their body still knows how to ask for help. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn the silent signs of pain that most dog owners completely miss. You'll start understanding the difference between my dog is getting old and my dog is hurting. And maybe somewhere in this video, you'll realize your dog has been trying to tell you something for a very long time. So if your dog has shown even the smallest change lately, watch this video until the end, because maybe the one thing they need most right now is for you to finally understand the words they were never able to say out loud. And if you love content that helps us better understand the psychology and emotions of dogs, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos. One of the most misunderstood signs in dogs is excessive licking. It could be their paw, their stomach, one side of their body, or maybe a joint you barely pay attention to. At first, they only lick a few times. Then a few days later, you start hearing it at night. And slowly, they keep returning to the exact same spot every single day, like it's become a habit. Most owners think the same thing. They're just bored, they're cleaning themselves. It's probably just a habit. But many times, it isn't a habit at all. It's pain. Veterinarians have long considered repetitive licking to be one of the most common warning signs of silent pain in dogs. When dogs are hurting, especially with chronic pain, their bodies instinctively search for ways to soothe the discomfort, and their tongue becomes the first tool they use. A dog's saliva doesn't just clean wounds, it can also stimulate nerve endings and create temporary relief, almost like a natural numbing mechanism. In other words, when a dog constantly licks one area, sometimes they're trying to heal themselves in the most instinctive way they know. And the frightening part is that the causes behind this behavior can vary widely. Sometimes it's allergies, skin irritation, or infection, but other times it's joint pain, spinal pain, or even internal pain. Some dogs with hip arthritis repeatedly lick their front legs because the nervous system redirects pain sensations to other areas. Others with chronic stomach pain never whine or cry at all. Instead, they quietly lick the floor, their paws, or even the air as a way to release the internal discomfort building inside their bodies. And perhaps the saddest part is this. Many dogs continue doing this silently for months while their owners never realize what's happening. You may only notice the fur thinning in that spot, the skin becoming slightly red, or maybe a damp patch that never seems to dry. But for the dog, every lick is another attempt to calm pain they cannot explain. Maybe that's what makes dogs so heartbreakingly special. They don't know how to say, "I'm hurting." They can't explain that something inside their body feels wrong. So all they can do is use their tiny tongue and quietly try to heal themselves alone. One day, you may suddenly realize the dog who used to leap onto the couch the moment they heard a snack bag open now stands below, staring at you for a few long seconds instead. They don't jump up anymore. Not because they no longer want to lie beside you, not because they've become better behaved like you once assumed, but sometimes it's simply because their body has started to hurt every time they try. This is one of the most common signs of silent pain in dogs, and also one of the easiest to miss. Because the change happens very slowly, so slowly that you barely notice, they're gradually losing mobility little by little. At first, they just climb the stairs more slowly than usual. Then they begin hesitating before jumping off the bed. After that, they stand beside the couch for a long time, almost as if they're debating something in their mind. And eventually, they choose to lie on the floor instead of climbing up beside you like they used to every day. Most owners seeing this think the same thing. They've matured. They're less hyper now. They're getting older, so they prefer resting. But in many cases, these are classic signs of joint pain, spinal inflammation, or degenerative bone disease beginning to develop. And the heartbreaking part is that this process often continues silently for months before the dog can no longer move normally. Veterinarians often pay attention to one tiny behavior that many people never notice: the half-sitting, half-lying moment. A healthy dog usually lies down in one smooth movement. But a dog with joint pain often pauses halfway for a split second, as if trying to find the least painful angle before letting their body touch the floor. You may also notice them struggling more when standing up. Their back legs tremble slightly, or they need more momentum before stepping onto something elevated. Even sleeping positions begin to change. Your dog may once have slept belly up, legs stretched wide in complete relaxation, but slowly they begin lying on their side more often, curling up more tightly, avoiding fully stretching their body, not because their preferences changed, but because certain positions now cause pain in their joints and spine. And perhaps the saddest part is this: inside, they still want to play with you the way they used to. They still want to chase the ball, still want to jump beside you every night, still want to go everywhere with you. The difference is their body no longer cooperates. And maybe that's one of the saddest feelings a dog can experience, when the mind is still excited. But the body has started becoming the limitation. Many people only realize how serious it is once their dog can no longer climb the stairs. But the truth is, the pain usually began long before that. They were simply too good at hiding it. It's not that they stopped wanting to play. Their body just started hurting every time they tried. And then there's another kind of pain, even quieter than joint pain. A kind of pain most owners only notice once the smell from the dog's mouth becomes impossible to ignore, or when the dog finally starts refusing food. Dental pain. Many people assume that as long as a dog is still eating, everything must be fine. That bad breath is normal, but veterinary studies show that over 80% of dogs over the age of 3 already suffer from some form of periodontal disease. And the frightening part is that most of this pain happens completely in silence, because dogs rarely cry out from tooth pain. Instead, they quietly change the way they eat. At first, you may notice them eating a little more slowly. Then, they begin chewing on only one side. Hard treats they once loved now get sniffed and ignored. Some days they carry food away from the bowl before eating it. Other times they suddenly stop in the middle of a meal and repeatedly lick their lips as if something inside their mouth suddenly stings. Many people don't realize that every one of these tiny changes is the body trying to avoid pain. An inflamed tooth, infected gums, or an exposed nerve root can make every bite feel unbearable. But dogs can't say my mouth hurts, so all they can do is change their behavior to survive the pain. You may also notice they no longer enjoy chewing toys like they used to. Bones and chew toys that once entertained them for hours now sit untouched in the corner. Or when you reach toward their face, they slightly tilt their head away. Just a little. So subtle that many owners think they imagined it. But for veterinarians, this is one of the clearest signs of oral pain. And there's one moment many dog owners describe as absolutely heartbreaking. Your dog walks toward the food bowl, lowers their head, sniffs for a long time, and then walks away. Not because they don't want to eat, but because they know the moment they bite down, the pain will return immediately. Some dogs are in so much pain that every chew feels like needles stabbing into their gums. Yet they still try to eat, still wag their tail when they see you, still try to live as though everything is okay. Until their body no longer has enough strength to keep pretending. And sometimes, the most heartbreaking sign isn't the way they walk or the way they eat. It's something that once brought joy to the entire house every single day. The moment you open the door and they no longer run to greet you the way they used to. Maybe before, the sound of your keys outside was enough to send them racing toward the door instantly. Tail wagging nonstop, running circles around your legs, bringing you toys, jumping with excitement. But lately, the reaction is slower. They still look at you, still wag their tail gently, but the familiar excitement is no longer there. And most people think they're just old now. They've become calmer. But sometimes, it isn't a personality change at all. It's the result of chronic pain lasting far too long. Neuroscience shows that long-term pain gradually lowers dopamine, the neurotransmitter connected to joy and motivation. In dogs, chronic pain doesn't only affect the body. It changes emotions, energy, and the way they respond to the world around them. In other words, a dog living with pain for too long may begin to look almost depressed. You may notice them lying alone in one spot more often. Their eyes seem less focused. They stop initiating play. Things that once made them excited now only trigger mild reactions. Not because they no longer love those things, but because their body is simply too exhausted to respond the way it once could. And the most heartbreaking part is that their love for you hasn't faded at all. They still wait for the sound of your car. They still recognize your footsteps among hundreds of other sounds. They still feel safe when you're nearby. It's just that their body no longer has enough strength to show it the old way. They still love you exactly the same. Their body just can't express it the way it used to anymore. There's a moment that almost every dog owner loves more than anything else in the day. The moment you open the door and see a small creature running toward you as if you've returned after years away. The second your keys make a sound, the tail starts wagging uncontrollably. They circle around your legs, bring you toys. Their entire body shakes with excitement because you're finally home. But one day, that moment begins to change. You walk through the door, and instead of running toward you like always, your dog simply lifts their head and looks at you from a distance. Maybe the tail still wags gently. Maybe the eyes still look at you with that same familiar love. But the reaction is much slower than before. They no longer rush to the door immediately. They no longer beg to play the second you come home. Some days, they simply watch you quietly for a few seconds before lowering their head again. And the dangerous part is that most owners comfort themselves with the same thoughts. They're just getting older. They've simply become calmer. They're more mature now. But in many cases, this is actually a sign that chronic pain has begun affecting your dog's nervous system and emotions. Neuroscience research shows that when the body endures continuous pain for a long time, the brain begins producing less dopamine, the chemical responsible for joy, excitement, and motivation. And this doesn't only happen in humans, it happens in dogs too. When dopamine stays low for too long, dogs begin showing behaviors that look strikingly similar to depression. That's why many dogs living with chronic pain stop reacting strongly to the things they once loved most. Not because they no longer enjoy them, but because their body has become too exhausted to respond the way it used to. You may notice your dog lying alone in one corner more often than usual. Their eyes seem less focused. They stop bringing you toys. They stop following you around the house. Emotional reactions that were once intense and joyful slowly become smaller, quieter, slower. And the heartbreaking part is that this transformation happens so gradually that many people don't realize it until the difference has become enormous. Some dogs still wag their tail when their owner comes home, but only for a few seconds before they need to lie back down because their body already feels exhausted. Some still want to follow their owner to the door, but painful joints force them to stop halfway there. Others lie still, not because they're lazy, but because even standing up now takes too much effort. And perhaps the saddest part is this: their love for you has not faded at all. A dog in pain still loves you with everything they have. They still remember your scent. They still recognize your footsteps among hundreds of other sounds. They still safe when you're nearby. It's just that their body no longer has enough strength to express that love the way it once did. And sometimes what saddens veterinarians most is that many people only realize this once their dog has almost completely stopped reacting altogether. They still love you exactly the same. Their body just no longer has the strength to show it anymore. But there's another sign that's even quieter than emotional withdrawal. A sign most people almost never think about. The way a dog changes its sleeping position and the way it reacts when you touch its body. Maybe your dog once slept belly up in the middle of the room, legs stretched wide, completely relaxed, like a creature that had never known fear. But slowly, they begin curling up more often, sleeping tightly curled instead of stretched out, avoiding extending their body fully, no longer pressing their back against you the way they once did. Sometimes, when you gently stroke their back, they flinch immediately, and most people assume it's just a change in habits. But in reality, a dog's body often changes sleeping positions long before obvious signs of pain appear externally. When dogs suffer from back pain, neck pain, or spinal pressure, they instinctively begin limiting movements that make their body uncomfortable. Sleeping belly up, a position that fully stretches the abdomen and spine, no longer feels comfortable, so they curl up instead to reduce pressure on muscles and joints. It's an instinctive form of self-protection. You may also notice they avoid turning their head too quickly. They no longer twist their body as fluidly as before. Every glance backward becomes slower. Some dogs even change their favorite sleeping spot entirely because certain surfaces place more pressure on their spine. Another extremely important sign is how they react when you touch their back or neck. Dogs in pain usually don't growl or bite immediately. Most simply flinch slightly, freeze for a few seconds, or quietly move away from your hand on instinct. Not because they dislike affection, but because their nervous system is trying to protect the painful area of their body. And what makes this sign especially heartbreaking is that many people misunderstand their dog's emotions during this stage. They think the dog has become distant, less affectionate, less interested in cuddling. But the truth is, many dogs still desperately want to be close to you. It's just that every twist of the body, every jump onto the bed, every unexpected touch can send a wave of pain through their spine. They aren't avoiding you because the love is gone. They're simply trying to avoid a pain you cannot see. There's a truth many dog owners don't want to believe, until the day they finally look back and realize it. Many dogs have been in pain for months, and no one noticed, because they still ate, still wagged their tail, still followed you around the house like they always did. And that is exactly what makes people think everything is fine. That's why so many illnesses in dogs are only discovered after they've become serious, not because their owners don't love them, but because dogs are incredibly good at hiding pain. They don't lie down and complain. They can't say, "I'm tired today." They can't explain that something inside their body feels wrong. Instead, they try to keep living normally for as long as they can. In the wild, an animal that shows weakness too clearly often struggles to survive. An injured animal can be left behind. It can become an easy target for predators. And even though dogs have lived beside humans for tens of thousands of years, that nervous system hasn't disappeared. Some instinct deep inside them still says, "Don't let anyone see that you're weak." So they keep trying. They try to stand up and follow you, even when their joints hurt. They try to eat, even when their teeth ache terribly. They try to wag their tail, even when their body has been exhausted all day. Some dogs still run to the door to greet their owner every evening, then quietly lie down, breathing heavily once they return to their spot. Some still try to climb up beside their owner every night, even though their spine hurts so much that it takes them a long time to lie down. And some dogs, even on their final day, still try to look at their owner with happy eyes, as if they don't want you to worry. What haunts many veterinarians most isn't the illness itself. It's the moment an owner says, "I didn't know they had been hurting for that long." Because when they look back, the signs were actually there all along. They were just too small, too quiet, a moment of hesitation before jumping, eyes that seemed less focused, a different sleeping position, a day they no longer ran to the door. Each tiny change was like a very soft cry for help, one that only someone truly paying attention could hear. And perhaps the most heartbreaking insight about dogs is this: dogs aren't good at enduring pain because they're strong, but because they have no other choice. They can't call a doctor. They can't tell you where it hurts. They can't explain that today they feel more tired than usual. The only thing they can do is keep trying to stay beside you for as long as possible, even as their body grows weaker. The saddest thing isn't just their pain, it's how long they may have carried it in silence. And maybe, after everything, this video isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to help you start watching your dog a little more closely from today, because very often the small changes we think are normal are actually the only way a dog can tell us that something inside their body is wrong. Maybe it's the way they start licking their paws too much. Maybe it's the moment they no longer want to jump onto the couch. Maybe it's the way they begin eating more slowly than before, or the moment they no longer rush into the door when you come home. And sometimes it's simply the way they change their sleeping position. 5 very small signs, but behind each one, there may be a pain they've been silently enduring for a very long time. The special thing about dogs is that they don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to understand everything about veterinary medicine or psychology. They don't expect you to notice immediately everything happening inside their body. But maybe what they need most is someone who cares enough to start paying attention. Because many times what a dog needs most isn't medicine right away. It's someone observant enough to realize they're in pain. And what makes the bond between humans and dogs so special is that in the end, no matter how much they hurt, they still choose to stay beside you. They still trust you. They still wait for you. That's why you are not just their owner. You are the only person in the world who can speak for them. So if your dog has shown even the smallest change lately, take a few extra minutes to really look at them today. Hold them a little longer, gently stroke their head, and remember, sometimes the greatest love isn't buying them something new. It's paying enough attention to recognize when they need help. And if you love content that helps us understand the psychology and emotions of dogs more deeply, don't forget to subscribe and join us in the next videos.